Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Sutherland Show. Today is a very special day. We are going to be watching a powerful, inspirational talk from Robert Hoge. He did a TED Talk all about owning your face. Robert was born with a tumor on his face. As a result of this tumor, his face is deformed, and he talks about his struggles, growing up, always knowing that people are looking at your face and thinking that you are different than other people. He talks about his mom not wanting him at the beginning of his life. This story made me realize my tiny breakout before picture day in high school that I got before picture day did not matter at all. I need to look at the bigger picture and zoom out. This is Robert Hoge, Own Your Face. It's incredibly moving. Here we go. Welcome to the Sutherland Show. I'm Ryan Sutherland, an actor based in Toronto and the creator of this podcast. I started this show to shine a light on real human stories, the ones that connect us, inspire us, and remind us of the beauty in life and in each other.
Everyone's uglier than they think. Everyone's more beautiful than they think too. If this story is about anything, it is about that.
Most of us don't own our faces. They might sit at the front of our heads and go everywhere we travel, but we don't actually really own them. And sure, the usual suspects are to blame: Hollywood, advertisers. But you know who's most to blame? Me. You. Us. The biggest obstacle to us owning our faces is us disowning them. When we ogle a Photoshop magazine cover, when we click on the link promising celebrity photos without makeup, when we look away from the mirror that little bit too quickly, we are the Red Queen running, racing faster and faster just to stand still. Take my story, for example. You might see that I've got some facial deformities, and they've been around quite a while. When I was developing in my mother's womb, I had a massive tumour form at the front of my face. It was at the top of my forehead and went all the way down to where the tip of my nose should have been, and pushed my eyes to the side of my head, like a fish. So my mother, her first question to the doctors and nurses wasn't, is it a boy or a girl? Her first question was, is my baby okay? No, Mrs. Hoge, the doctor said. He is not okay. There is something wrong with his head and something wrong with his legs. And she found herself standing at the side of my cot, looking down at this. And she rejected me.
I put my head down in my hands and I broke down completely. He is so ugly. No one could console me. What was I to do?
She decided then and there that she couldn't connect with this face. She didn't want to own it. She didn't want to own me.
I wished he would go away or die or something. I told the hospital staff I didn't want my baby. I wouldn't under any circumstances take it home.
So she went back to the mother's ward, and a week later, she went home, and I stayed in hospital. She was home, and she was home for about another month, and she started talking to my father and her friends and her family and her doctors and her priests and having a discussion about me, and she was worried about the impact bringing me home would have on my brothers and sisters. Over a month or so, her views started to soften a bit. And so she thought, if she's so worried about the impact bringing me home will have on my brothers and sisters, she better actually give them a bit of a say. So one Saturday morning, they sat down in our kitchen table and had a family discussion. And they talked about my face and about my legs and talked about whether they should bring me home. And my parents gave my brothers and sisters a vote. and they asked, should we bring Robert home? And one by one, my brothers and sisters said yes.
They removed the tumour that was in the middle of my face just after I was born. So I was left with no nose and just a flat face and a couple of nostrils in the middle of my face. And my eyes were still at the side of my head.
After I came home, my parents had to actually then take me out into the big wide world. And when they did, they started to notice people's reactions. And it's quite funny. In terms of participation in society, it's probably the fact that I have no legs that has more of an impact than my face. But people who meet me for the first time often don't even realise I have prosthetics. We are judged on our faces. So my mother would take me shopping and she'd see people staring. My dad would take me swimming and he'd listen to other kids ask about my squished nose and my funny face. By the time I got to about 4, doctors had spoken to my parents and they said, look, we want to fix this. We want to do some pretty major surgery on Robert's face to make it look a little bit more normal so he can socialise when he gets to school. The doctors told my parents they were going to do about 40 different surgical procedures. First of all, they were going to slice open my face, cut a V-shaped chunk out of my skull, push my eyes back to the front of my face, and then, because I had no nose, they were going to use one of the deformed toes they were amputating to build me a new one. And then the doctors started talking about the risks. And look, there could be excessive bleeding, there could be an infection, we might stuff it up, the operation might not work. Oh, and by the way, they said, there's a 1 in 4 chance your son may die on the operating table. 1 in 4. Now, my dad was a gambling man, and he did not like those odds. He started arguing with my mum and my doctors and said, why would we risk our son dying at that high a chance just for pride of appearance, as he called it? My mum, I think, understood better the importance of appearance and at least having something a bit more normal of an appearance when you're growing up. My father eventually agreed, and I survived. After that, I looked a little bit more human. I had a less than perfect nose, but I had eyes at the front of my head, and I got on with life.
What about with your legs, your artificial legs? Any other kids think it's a bit strange that you've got them?
Some of the grade 5ers, the new kids, take a while to get used to it. They all get used to it sooner or later.
Skip ahead 10 years. I'm 14. Kids are pretty much guided missiles when it comes to finding every bump, every scar, every nose made out of an old toe that they can find. And they did. So by the time I was 14, I'd accumulated a pretty strong playing roster of nicknames. Jake the Peg, Stumpy, Retard, and a quite specific and actually pretty awful toe nose. Those were the sorts of things that stopped me being comfortable with my face. Those were the things that stopped me owning my face. It's hard to sort of deal with pimples and bad haircuts when you don't look like everyone else, and you look so different from everyone else. Doctors then started talking to my parents about another operation, because at that stage I'd started to notice girls, and I'd started to notice girls noticing my face, and doctors had started to notice me noticing girls notice my face. So they said, oh well, we better get stuck into Robert again. So what they said is, okay, we're going to do another big operation. And by then I'd had about 24 operations, some minor, some like the remaking of Robert Hoge when I was 4, quite substantial. And they said, okay, we're going to do another one. So what they told my parents, they said, look, we'll fill in the bumps at the side of his head where his eyes were, we'll get rid of some scars, we'll remake him a new and much better nose for the second time, And because making me a new nose would emphasise that my eyes were still a little bit too far apart, they'd move them again, just about a centimetre closer, and I'd look wonderfully perfect. Perhaps like David Hasselhoff, who knows? And then we started talking about the risks. The same risks are there, infection, bleeding. They could undo the good work they did when I was 4. And they said, oh, by the way, because we're moving the orbit of your eyes, there's a 1 in 4 chance you might go blind. So we discussed it a bit, and then my parents did the worst possible thing they have ever done to me, ever. They said, oh, Robert, you're 14, you're almost an adult, it's your choice. It's entirely your choice, it's up to you. If you want to have this, great. If you don't want to have this, great.
I'm finding it more difficult to cope as I get older with the trauma of the operation itself, and it's probably only fear, and that's fear that he may not come through it. Each one is, I think, has a risk.
We talked for a while about the risks, and eventually it came to decision time. So I sat down with my parents at the same kitchen table where my brothers and sisters had voted to bring me home 14 years earlier. And my brother was there listening in, and we talked about the opportunities and the risks, and he stayed silent the entire time until we brought up the fact the operation could cost me my eyesight. And he then piped up and said, what use is it being pretty if he can't even see himself? In that instant, I owned my face.
Yes, Robbie.
We can give them our love and attention and our care if they need it, and if they ever need something that we've got, we can share it with them.
Until then, my life had been governed by my appearance, but I'd never had much say in that. Decisions were made about the fate of my face by my parents, by my doctors, by social workers, by kids teasing me, and the comment from my brother made me realise that I had a choice and I could actually own my face by exercising that choice. I didn't figure I'd necessarily ever be worth painting, but I was done with being the doctor's canvas. Funnily enough, my ugliness made it easier for me to own my face than many of you. A year or so ago, a friend of mine, an artist friend of mine, Nick Stathopoulos, asked me to make a decision. He asked if he could paint my portrait. And I said, okay, sure, no worries. I figured at worst case it would mean I had to sit still for a while. So I went and sat for Nick, and he did some sketches and talked about some of his ideas, and then I went away, and he invited me back a couple of months later to see progress on the work. And I went into his studio and looked at this massive portrait of my face, and this is what I saw. And I just stood silent for 2 whole minutes. Now, until then, I thought owning my face meant no one else could own it. But I looked at this portrait, disturbed, voiceless, silent, crying, because it seemed to me that Nick had gone and owned my face for me. It seemed like this portrait captured every piece of pain, every bit of life I had felt since I was 14. And I think the important thing there is you can own your face too. Owning is choosing. Choose to accept your face. Choose to appreciate your face. Don't look away from the mirror so quickly. Understand all the love and the life and the pain that is part of your face, that is the art of your face. Tomorrow, when you wake up, what will your choice be?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed that beautiful speech, beautiful story from Robert. I believe the mind is where we start to change the world. So it's an honor to go through all these TED Talks. I've been going through all these TED Talks and for this channel and trying to figure out which ones to put out for you guys. And in that, just watching these videos, I have expanded my knowledge just watching these 10 to 20 videos I've watched so far about people's stories. It has expanded my grasp of what people are going through all around the world, and I hope that it expands your perspective of the world as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that I'll see you in a few days. Mwah.